The supporting valley rafter will be the next layout. The units of run on this component will be the same as the hip rafter to the left of it. The units of run will be half of the roof span. The next graphic will show the calculations of the supporting valley rafter. The unit line length for a valley rafter, an 812 roof slope, is 18.76. To get the line length of the rafter, multiply the unit line length by the units of run. Make sure the end that the measurements are taken from is square. Measure along the edge of the 2x6 and make a mark at 5 foot 2.5 inches. From that mark, lay out the tail. The theory length of the tail is 1 foot 6 3/4 inches. Square line across the edge. At the top edge, lay out a plumb line using an 8 and 17 on the square. Mark along the 8. At a right angle to the plumb line, deduct half the 45 thickness of the ridge and lay out a new plumb line. Square the new line across the edge and lay out a center mark. Using a combination square, extend the center line about 2 feet down the edge of the 2x6. Lay out the side cuts using 12 and 10 7/8 mark along the 12. These numbers are found on the framing square. When laying out the side cuts, pay close attention to the numbers on the square, as there are side cuts for hips and valleys as well as jacks. Draw a new plumb line down the side that will be cut. Be sure to label the cut line so there is no confusion on what line to cut. The next layout we'll show is the bird's mouth. Plumb a line down using 8 and 17, marking along the 8. The depth of the bird's mouth in the valley is laid out from the top down. The amount was established from the common rafter. This amount is 2/3 of the plumb line on the common rafter. Using 8 and 17, marking along the 17 on the square, lay out the seat cut. Next, the seat cut has to be lengthened. To do this, measure back half the 90-degree thickness of the valley rafter and lay out a new plumb line. Extend the seat cut line through the new plumb line. The final deduction we'll make is at the rafter tail. Plumb a line down using 8 and 17, marking along the 8. At a right angle to the plumb line, deduct the full 45-degree thickness of the fascia and lay out a new plumb line. Square the new line across the edge and lay out a center mark. Lay out the side cuts using 12 and 10 7/8 inches, marking along the 12. Lay out the new plumb line and label the cut.
The supporting valley is now laid out. We're going to cut it now. I'm going to clamp the top here, so my circular saw is going to be cutting from the other side, and it'll hold the piece in place while I cut. Be sure that the blade is set properly to depth. My first cut's going to be a 45-degree angle cut. Next, we're going to cut the bird's mouth. We'll cut through into the line with the circular saw, and then we'll finish it off with the jigsaw so that we don't cut into the material. Final cut will be the tail end of the rafter, and this will be cut at a 45 as well. The supporting valley is now ready for install.